Albert Einstein once said, "Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding." Keep this in mind as we discuss today the ongoing tensions between China and Taiwan, and what does it mean in the wake of the revelations of the U.S. Special Forces in Taiwan. My name is Dr. David Oualaalou.
And my name is Dr. Ross Stewart.
And you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict.
We'd like to thank you for viewing. We'd like to thank you for subscribing. And we are getting closer and closer to our 70 million subscriber goal.
Indeed, Ross. We are at 34,700.
Oh, that's
so
really close. That's really close.
Little by little. But on a serious note, it's moving. It's moving in the right direction. So we want to thank our supporters, and we want to thank you. And if you did not subscribe yet, please do so right now. We also want to take the advantage of this opportunity to mention to you about our membership. If you want to check it out, go to geopoliticsinconflict.com, and the membership has some very, very interesting perks. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing the first live presentation for the members on the 15th about
nice.
Australia. So if you are interested, please consider joining the membership. And of course, consider following us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And to our Patreon members, we thank you for your continued support. All right, thank you all for your support. So back to our topic.
China's President Xi Jinping has declared that reunification with Taiwan must be fulfilled. President Tsai of Taiwan said Taiwan is a sovereign state. President Xi has not ruled out force to make the reunification real.
Yeah, well, he did make that statement recently. And this, interesting enough, that it came up in almost like back and forth between Taipei and Beijing. So the statement of Xi, President Xi, that is, of course, is going to be interpreted in the West differently as hostile, as the invasion, and all this. You know how it is. On the other side, in Taipei, President Tsai is talking about the sovereignty. And I was like, well, wait a minute. A sovereign state, usually it's when it's recognized by other nations around the world. In the case of Taiwan, most countries around the world recognize motherland China.
In Beijing.
And as a matter of fact, that was even the United States treaty with China back in 1979, when you removed the diplomatic recognition from Taipei into Beijing.
I remember that very clearly, and that was really a big event.
Well, yeah, I read up about it, so I read out on it a lot.
You know, it might be interesting to just do 2 or 3 sentences on the history here.
That would be nice, Ross. So this way our viewers, I'm sure they do have an understanding of, but some might not, but it would be nice to share that with our viewers.
Well, going into 1945, there were 2 major factors in China. One was Mao Zedong, and the other was Chiang Kai-shek. And boy, were they enemies. And Mao Zedong had won the peasants and forced Chiang Kai-shek and his army to move to Taiwan. And there it stands today.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, I know this is a brief history about the Taiwan-China tensions and so forth, and we're gonna delve deeper into this on Friday. This coming Friday when we do our live.
Yes, because it's really a pretty big story. But for our purposes today, this is the origin.
Exactly, and just for you to know the background of this. But the idea of all this, Ross, has to do also with that treaty I mentioned earlier about 1979.
Right.
When the United States, well, the way it was about this treaty is that the United States agreed with Taiwan that it will support the defenses of Taiwan. But stopped short of saying, we will defend you. And this is where majority do not understand that in case of a war between China and Taiwan, the US might not get involved in this at all. And Taiwan could learn the hard way. I mean, you compare the size of the military, 300,000 in Taiwan to 1 million plus or more. I mean...
And the most atrocious weapons devised by humanity.
Exactly, and that is where this problem is now. The problem that I see going is this tensions that is increasing in a language. You know, the language of it, the words used are being a little bit too, let me use the term, aggressive in nature from both sides.
The one thing we don't know is we're getting the translated version in the West, but we don't know what's really being said in Mandarin. And the meaning could be really quite different. We know that the United States and other forces tend to exaggerate the negative when it might not be as negative as it seems.
Exactly. Well, the way I interpret the speech by President Xi, yes, she's talking about, it's the Taiwanese people decide and sovereignty and democracy and all that. Yeah, all that's fine and nice. But at the same time, what I sensed in that speech is that the concern she has over if she pushed too hard, too far, that it will be no point of return and China will move forward with it. The one thing that I am certain of is that China will not go into a military action tomorrow or next year, because next year is the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
The last thing China wants. So if you're looking at something like that, you'll be looking within 5-year time frame. However, if Taiwan pushes forward with independence, this is why the United States stopped short of saying, the last thing you want is declaring independence from Taiwan. I mean, that's going to push China into acting militarily.
Well, in a conversation between Biden and President Xi, didn't Biden acknowledge that there's one China?
Indeed.
And that was recent.
You're absolutely correct. As a matter of fact, it was last week.
Oh, that's really very recent.
When President Biden recognized that. Well, usually what does it mean? That's sending a message to the international community that, also, while we might have tensions with China, economic one in this case between the United States and China, we still have to recognize that China is the official country under which Taiwan is. It's one country, two systems. And this is why no other country, except there's one or two, if I'm not mistaken, recognize Taiwan. The rest, they recognize Beijing, not Taiwan. Otherwise, if President Xi is talking about this sovereignty, well, how come you don't have a seat at the United Nations?
How come you don't have international recognition?
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes on and on.
Because that's what it will be. However, there are entities in which the United States will hope for Taiwan to be part of, because those do not require sovereign status, like World Trade Organization. So, but the problem is not about all that. The challenges now that is facing Taiwan is the idea, especially when you consider the recent revelations about U.S. Special Forces training in Taiwan.
And it's been going on for a year.
Well, about 1 year, that is correct. And we're going to address this in detail on Friday, but nonetheless, we will share with you some information that we had to check on to make sure. Usually the Pentagon will not disclose the number of the troops there. There are some, I came across some articles which I don't buy that number as a former military myself. They're talking about 30,000. No, it was none of that. Usually for something like this, when you have special ops, the numbers are always limited between about 25 to 75 max.
That's a very small number.
Oh, that's all you need. As a matter of fact, in the case of Taiwan, based on what I found out, it was about 30.
That's very
because that's all you need. Those are instructors. Those are, they don't need to have large. And this is what was interesting about this, Ross, is that the idea that, as you mentioned earlier, the U.S. has been training the Taiwanese military for almost a year. What does it mean? What is the significance of that? Is does the U.S. has information that China is about to strike? Is China's rolling over Taiwan inevitable? Usually when you have the deployment of special ops, that's usually in preparation for something like this.
There's an expert who we'll probably name him on Friday, sitting in Australia, in Sydney. And he said, President Xi has some very smart advisors. And those advisors are telling him clearly, a war is just too dangerous. And the consequences are unknown. And his prediction is that he says China will not go to war over this. He said the only war they've had was the punishment of Vietnam, which was about 6 weeks long, decades ago, and they pretty well got kicked out of Vietnam.
Yeah.
He said so they're not worldly. That is, they don't have a lot of experience fighting.
Well, because China hardly ever get involved in fighting to begin with.
And what he said is, China is really remarkably peaceful. You don't really see aggression from China. Matter of fact, India and China are now talking again.
As a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, regarding the Himalayan borders, they are in talks now. There's going to be the question is who's going to take the first step towards that, which is at least you look at it as a good thing.
Yeah.
You'd rather have peace than be considering war and so forth. I'd rather see that. It might take time, but hey, be it. Because who wants war anymore? I mean, enough of wars. Let's just live in peace. Let all of us live in peace. I mean, it concerns me a great deal the amount of destruction that's going to result from the case in case Taiwan and China gets involved. That is what concerns me the most.
Oh, the destruction could be horrific.
Yeah, and I'd
Truly
rather
horrific.
Yes, and I am, as a human being, doesn't matter American or not. I'll think of all humans as equal.
Yeah.
All of them. There is no this is favor over this. No. We all humans are. We all have some basic rights. We all share some commonality. We're all humans. We all deserve to be happy, live in peace, and so forth. So
Right.
What concerns me the most is the amount of destructions that could lead into this. And why am I saying this, Ross? And once again, we're going to detail all this on Friday. Because I am seeing the trends of where things are going. As geopolitical analyst, you have to think on the big picture.
Right.
And what I'm referring to here, I'm referring to the Quad.
Yeah.
I'm referring to AUKUS. I am referring to now the Special Ops training. I am referring to the incident of the U.S. nuclear submarine that just had an issue. And I am referring also to the detention yesterday of a couple in the United States who were spying on behalf of a foreign government selling nuclear submarine technology. So you put all this together and you see, and you say to yourself, wow, everything is geared towards what's taking place in Taiwan.
You keep hearing this over and over again. The run-up to World War I, alliance, us against them. Yeah. How can we group people into us against them? Well, we're seeing it right here.
Exactly. Except now, there is one thing that you should understand, especially when it comes down to this AUKUS, the alliance between United States, Australia, and United Kingdom. This is more than just for military. This one has to have quantum computing as part of it, cyber technology as part of it, in information warfare as part of it, in addition to being a military. So basically what it is, you're looking at a long term. And this is the beginning of it for it to expand into including other countries. Except I don't see that happening in that part of the world, especially with ASEAN countries.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be thinking twice. Why would I want to get myself into this mess?
Especially when our biggest trade partner is
China. Indeed, they're going to be looking at that. And you take all this into consideration, and you say to yourself, why there is this ratchet up in the wording the words that they being used are very, very specific and calculated and highlight the amount of tension, the escalating one. So,
We talked about using nominalizations in one of our other shows.
yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
And that is, you use these inflammatory words that don't really mean anything, but they have an emotional impact on you, and they're frequently not even true. Sometimes they are, but frequently they're not. But boy, do they get people upset.
Yeah, and this is why they send in the idea of the West. For example, they need to hear, oh my gosh, Taiwan this, Taiwan, China is going to invade this way. I just do not see that happening. Militarily, as you explained, which makes perfect sense. Why China will want to risk the prosperity it is enjoying that the world order has provided it with?
Right.
Because if it goes in a war, it's just going to turn things upside down. Why will they do that? Whoever is in the right mind will advise the president of China, you don't want to do that.
Well, from what we can tell, he's got some smart advisors
Yeah.
who are saying, don't do it.
Exactly. And this is why you hear more often that President Xi always mentioning the word peaceful reunification. I don't see him letting this go. I do understand that he wants this to happen under his watch, the reunification of Taiwan with the motherland. Because remember, within about 5 years or 6 years from today, that's going to be the main meeting of the CPC. So that's the committee and all that, the leadership. And whether they're going to also extend President Xi's presidency for another 10 years or so. So that's usually how...
That'll take him into his 80s.
Exactly. And this is why I'm seeing, for him, it becomes more of a legacy issue. But a legacy, you don't want it to be marked by wars.
Right.
That's the last thing you want. So this is where I see the trends are going. But as far as the idea of, well, China's going to invade this, what we hear here in the West, the inflammatory. I just heard, what's his name, General Keane.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of respectfully to the guy who's been in the military long enough. It just didn't make any sense. The argument didn't hold. At least for me, that's how I see it.
You take a look at Chinese history, and they have ways of dealing with breakaway provinces. Mm-hmm. Because there's such a diverse population, there's always some group that wants to break away.
Exactly.
And
well, we have that here in the U.S.
well,
that's a reality. I know. I know, Ross. It's just we don't talk much about it.
Yeah,
we don't hear much about it. But it
they're out
exists. You're absolutely correct. So.
Well, the Civil War in the United States says we're not doing with breakaway states and provinces.
Exactly. So this is where we see this idea of, it just, I don't quite get it as to why we in the West, and I'm not just blaming the U.S. here, it's just I'm talking in general terms, why we are pushing towards ratcheting up the tensions even more. I mean, hadn't we had enough? So.
Well, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and all the wars in between the United States military, the United States government seems to have learned nothing.
Because the objective has never been to win a war, basically. I mean, the doctrine that was established in 1953 suggests just to be involved in conflict, not necessarily to win them, as long as weapons are being sold. Like we always say, feed the beast in Washington. So, and it's gonna reach time, and I hope it is reaching time where we American people is gonna say enough is enough. Where the tax dollars are spent on, what are we going in far land? Stirring up trouble and creating all this. Well, hadn't we had enough? Hadn't we learned enough how much Western Hemisphere involved in regime changes and all that? For what? I always believe, Ross, if I may say this quickly, I always believe in the concept of live and let live.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy, in 1962, said, "A war in Asia is pure foolishness." It's a direct quote.
Wow.
And of course, he didn't live long enough to make that a reality.
Yeah.
And then we've seen war after war after war. Now we're looking at conflict in Asia.
Exactly. And this one will not be pretty. That I am convinced about that one. I really hope it will never get to that. I just don't want to be around for that because it's just not going to be pretty.
What would you say is the main takeaway for our viewers today?
Well, the main takeaway, especially for you, is to understand what you hear versus what it is are two separate things. Those are two different scenarios. Of course, in the West, you have to expose and keep ratcheting up the tensions regarding, this and invasions and China's going to take over the world and all. When there is no reality of that. I mean, why will China? I mean, we're not defending China here. It's just what's pragmatic. Why will China take over the world? And what for? What for?
And it's not part of their history.
No. And for us, for the United States to keep, pushing into this direction while wasting our tax money when we have issues right here at home that can be taken care of. What are we going far lands dealing with this? You look at the Afghanistan, 20 years, and what have we accomplished? As a matter of fact, just 3 days ago, Ross, the United States sat down with the Taliban in Doha.
I read that.
I mean, just come on. Then what was the 20-year for? And the almost $6 trillion that was wasted.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So the bottom line is, be informed, be careful, be considerate about what you hear, and filter that based on how you understand the events.
Almost invariably, there is news behind the news that you don't have easy access to that tells a very different story.
Well, fortunately, Russ, we're going to be doing that in our membership.
That's right.
Because we're going to have a platform where we can talk, and I'm going to use the term freely. So we're going to be doing that in our membership. And I hope you can join us to sort of learn more about what we're going to be talking about.
We'd like to thank you for viewing. We'd like to encourage you again to subscribe. We're getting closer and closer.
Indeed. And as always, stay informed. Till next time. Bye-bye.